Hi, I'm Kristen Bell, and if you know my husband Dax, then you also know he loves shopping for a car. Selling a car? Not so much.
We're really doing this, huh?
Thankfully, Carvana makes it easy. Answer a few questions, put in your VIN or license, and done. We sold ours in minutes this morning, and they'll come pick it up and pay us this afternoon.
Bye-bye, truckie.
Of course, we kept the favorite.
Hello, other truckie.
Sell your car with Carvana today. Terms and conditions apply.
Shop the Sherwin-Williams Super Sale and get 40% off paints and stains September 19th through the 24th. With prices starting at $29.39, it's the perfect time to transform your space with color. Whether you're looking to revamp your interior or exterior, we have you covered with bold hues, soothing neutrals, and everything in between. Visit your neighborhood Sherwin-Williams store or shop the sale online. Delivery available on qualifying orders. Click the banner to learn more. Retail sales only. Some exclusions apply. See store for details.
Have you ever wanted to dive deeper into the horror movies you love? Beyond the Blood is a horror podcast for fans who want more than just surface-level screams. We do deep dives into the movies that shaped us, digging into director commentaries, behind-the-scenes stories, deleted scenes, and the special features that most people skip. Each episode is a love letter to the genre. We break down how these films were made, the creative risks that paid off or didn't, and the lasting impact they've had on the genre as a whole. From 70s slashers to modern nightmares, we celebrate the craft, chaos, and characters that keep us coming back. If you're the kind of fan who rewatches movies with the commentary on, or you simply grew up in the video store horror aisle, the Beyond the Blood podcast was made for you. New episodes every single week. Subscribe, let's dig deep. Welcome to the Beyond the Blood podcast.
Weird Way Media.
Welcome to the Rankin Bass podcast. That was kind of an offhand joke made a long time ago, and then it became a podcast that we've been doing for years now. So thanks, Richard. I'm your host, Mike White. Joining me is a man who does not believe in the designated hitter rule. That is Mr. Cristachio.
Say hey! Say hey! Say hey!
Also with us is a man who's out there just daring him to pick him off, just really leading on the second base. It's Mr. Richard Haddam.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Or don't thank you, isn't it?
On this podcast, we discuss the works of Arthur Rankin Jr. and Jules Bass, specifically their stop motion and animated work, though we've covered live action as well. We are in Animated Town looking at this, which is, it's right there with the last thing that we talked about, the ABC Saturday Superstar movie, which ran from 1972 to 1974, had a whole host of all kinds of interesting things, including, but not limited to, Rankin Bass's amazing turn on the Red Baron, and now we've got Willie Mays and the Say Hey Kid. I know nothing about Willie Mays. I'm hoping that one of you guys can fill me in a little bit on Willie Mays, but I do know that he's one terrific voice actor.
Maybe Chris knows something. I'm not a sports guy.
I hope to God you're joking about the voice acting part. So here's the thing. I was talking to a friend of both of our shows today, and I mentioned to him that we were watching this, and I said, it's called Willie Mays and the Say Hey Kid. And he goes, what sort of fucking cognitive dissonance is that? Willie Mays was the Say Hey Kid.
Right.
So
yeah.
But just by the title alone, I have no idea what's going on here. All I know is Willie Mays is effectively almost as important, if not as important, an African-American athlete as Jackie Robinson. He just wasn't as vocal about it. That's what I picked up in the research that I did about Willie Mays. And he's a great baseball player. I mean, one of the greatest, voted second greatest of all time behind somebody named Baby Ruth. It's like candy bar or something.
Somebody named Baby Ruth is what you just said.
Correct.
Yeah. I think Chris was joshing with us. Yeah.
I don't know anymore. I don't know anything.
That's what Willie Mays and the Say Hey Kid will do to you.
Well, I don't think it's very fair that he is ranked so high in this list, whatever list you're referring to, since it's obvious he's using magic.
That's what it was. That's what the problem was. All along, Willie Mays was such a good athlete because he had a small, diminutive white dwarf helping him, who was an angel not played by Christopher Lloyd.
There's a lot of angels in baseball.
Right.
There's no crying, but there are plenty of angels.
And all the time, the angels are sometimes in the outfield and sometimes not.
Yeah. And sometimes they're just flying around, and sometimes they dress up like reporters and give false news. Fake news, everybody. Fake news.
What's actually insane about this entire special is a couple things. A, it's Willie Mays in 72, which is Willie Mays like when he wasn't playing for the Giants anymore. Like I mentioned to my mom that we watched this, she's like, Willie Mays? You mean the baseball player? Because she grew up in the Bay Area and she remembers hearing Willie Mays and watching baseball with him on the Giants, obviously. It's weird that it was this late in his career. It's weird that they had him do the voice. And it's weird that it is essentially the Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer story with Willie Mays. It's, again, a Rankin and Bass joint, as it were, of like a character going through hardships and overcoming them in the end through the use of magic, but in the real world. And it's very tonally strange to me.
Well, I don't know. I mean, was he going through problems? I mean, he was doing well as a baseball player. This little girl shows up in his life. It's not like it's kind of hard to puzzle out what it is we're hoping happens for him. I assume we're hoping that the little girl stays with him because it sounds like her living situation wasn't great. And then that gets illustrated. But none of this seems to matter a lot. There doesn't seem to be a lot of stakes for Willie Mays. He was a really good baseball player before and will probably continue to be a very, very good baseball player, except now he needs magic to win the World Series, I guess. It is a little strange.
Is it the World Series or just a pennant?
No. Well, wait a second.
No, it is the World Series.
Yeah,
it's the pennant and then the World Series.
Oh, okay.
It opens with that, like, I bet you're wondering how I got, and it opens with that, I bet you're wondering how I got here moment. Because it like freeze frames on him jumping 30 feet into the air, which doesn't really faze anybody. And then it's like, I'm Willie Mays, and I bet you're wondering how I caught this 30-foot in the air ball. It's like, not really, but I guess here we go again. Like it has the same notes just played in a different key, but it doesn't work as well with a real person.
No,
I'm trying to figure, and there's no information in the Rankin and Bass book, but whenever a celebrity is doing something like this, I always think about, well, was there a bigger picture here? There was an agent involved? Was someone going, okay, we're at the point in Willie Mays's career where he is a household name, but he's no longer or isn't really going to longer be an athlete, because that's the career of an athlete ends and then it has to transmute into something else. You know, you can't be a baseball player or a football player in your 50s and 60s. So what are you going to do? And you're famous. So are you going to host a game show, become a commentator, open a restaurant, become an actor? You're going to do something. So was this part of what that something was going to be? If this had been insanely successful, would it have spawned in the back of people's minds a continuing series where he would continue to voice himself the way other people were, at the time, the Jackson 5, the Osmonds, whoever the guest stars were on the Scooby-Doo shows, was that the hope here? And is that why he was doing it? And is that why they came up with the idea in the first place? This sounds like an agent called someone and said, hey, Willie wants to be in cartoons. and he's willing, doing a voiceover isn't hard. You go into a studio, it's air conditioned, it's near his house. He doesn't have to travel, doesn't have to be, it's like, this is an easy gig that could be money for him and keep his name out there. Who wants to do it? And before you know it, Rankin Bass.
That seems to be what was going on, because he was in a lot of game shows at the time, and he was on things. And again, like
there you go.
He's a well-known baseball player, but like, this was a time and a place where being like a baseball star was a thing. Reggie Jackson, Willie Mays, like these are like,
sure.
I'm not saying that that's not the way it is now, but I feel like other sports have kind of usurped baseball, and we see that now in the way that the kind of the athletes are treated. But like this is like exactly what you said, Richard. It's like he's trying to broaden his appeal and his reach outside of just being an athlete with a capital A.
It's like what Tom Brady is doing, 80 for Brady. Tom Brady will not be playing football in 10 years, but he'll still be alive probably for another 35 years, 40 years, who knows? So let's start monetizing the name Brady, and let's get it out there in different contexts so that when he's done doing the thing that made him famous, he can continue being famous in a viable way. That's probably what was happening here. So just to circle back, this was one of the 4 ABC Saturday Superstar movies that they produced. These things premiered. They were on Saturday morning. The first one was Mad Monster Party, which we talked about, right?
Yep. Which is funny because there were moments in here that reminded me of that.
Agreed.
Yeah. The second one was this. The third one was what we talked about last time, the Red Baron. And the fourth one was That Girl in Wonderland. And I can't remember if we're planning on talking about that. But so far, these things have not been the best of Rankin Bass.
Which is really crazy to me, because this one, I'm genuinely disappointed in this one because I genuinely thought it was going to be good, because why wouldn't it? It to me seems like, no pun intended, a home run. Like, you have a well-known celebrity, you have the world of Rankin Bass. Yes, their animated stuff tends to be lesser than the Animagic, but that doesn't mean this had to be that one. And instead, it's just like you've already mentioned, Richard, I don't know what the stakes are. I don't know what the conflict is. And the characters other than Willie Mays and Veronica are all very forgettable. There's nothing memorable going on here. And by the end of it, it's like you said, like what was going? Like, what were the stakes here? What was the point? And by the end of it, I actually was like, I don't know what the point was of this, in a way that felt really disappointing.
Yeah. They were trying to say, oh my gosh, like there's a version of this story that is, okay, you're an athlete, you're a single adult man, and you're an athlete. That takes up all of your time, and you're working at the top of your game, literally, and that's where all of your attention goes. Suddenly you're saddled with a kid. Now you've got to balance work and domestic life.
The Game Plan featuring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That's literally that movie.
Okay.
He doesn't need to do that, because he's going to get his aunt in here to just sleep through everything.
Right? Oh. Yeah. So again, you're like, well, okay, so it's not a real problem. It's just, and it's not like, it doesn't start with him going, I'm just a guy who doesn't like kids.
Right.
And then by the end, he's like, you know what? You wormed your way into my heart, kid. I'm actually willing to sacrifice for you. He comes across fairly affable from the very beginning. He seems like a decent guy. He seems equally confused by the special.
Right.
Sort of like, what's happening to me right now? Did I drink something or get hit on the head? Why is all this happening? I was perfectly happy just playing baseball.
It is his performance. The word I would use is meandering. He's like, hey, I'm Willie Mays. It's like, it's so unexciting what they're having him do that even, like you said, Richard, even he can't be bothered to really care, it would seem.
Right.
Yeah. And I think there's a little bit of the King and I syndrome here, where it's like, well, if we do this, though, we got to have a kid, we got to have an animal, we got to have magic, we got to have all the things that makes an animated kids show an animated kids show. So now we gotta wedge all this stuff in there. And then you're like, well, now that you've wedged all this stuff in here, is this about Willie Mays? Is this for a second, I thought it was going to be about almost like a biopic, almost like, Willie Mays, a kid with a dream who achieves it and becomes, a legend in baseball. But no, we're not doing that. We're going to bring on an iguana and some fucked out angel for some reason. And now we're going to go to South America where there's a revolution.
Oh my God. Yeah.
What the hell? In a tin mine.
Was the character of the angel Casey not meant to be like a play on what is it? Casey at bat? Is that not what that's supposed to be? That like the famous
Casey, yeah. I thought he was from the Kansas City Royals myself.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah.
No, yours makes so much more sense.
Like Casey
than me.
at bat. Like, I don't know. I mean, Casey, I don't know.
Well,
Yeah.
Casey at the bat.
Casey at the bat, though.
C-A-S-E-Y.
Yeah, and he was not a dwarf.
He didn't have wings.
Right. That's true.
That needs to be on a shirt. He was not a dwarf.
He didn't sound like Paul Frees. I mean,
but a lot of
by the
people
way,
sounded like Paul Frees.
Paul Frees does a lot of voices in this. Oh my God.
I think he did every voice but Willie Mays and the kid. It sounded like he did every other voice.
And the aunt or the aunt.
Yes.
But he did all of the, you mentioned the King and I, Richard. I did have a King and I moment towards the end of this where we meet the family. And I was like, wow, these characters are all varying degrees of problematic. Like they're all
that
most
pimp character.
Yeah,
with
they're all like
mustache.
they're like all stereotypes of the worst kind. And it's like, wait a second, like we don't have to stoop to this now. But then they have essentially banditos wearing sombreros being shot at. So I mean, again, what do I know?
Hey, it was 1972.
It sure was.
Man.
51 years ago.
Yeah. And guess what? Willie Mays is 92. He's still alive.
Holy
What?
shit.
Yep.
Well, you guys, why couldn't we get him?
Because
Good
he probably
question.
doesn't want to talk about this.
He shares a condo with Jamie Farr.
It's to me, the thing that I genuinely wonder is why this has never gotten any sort of anything. Because I mean, we found this through a third party on YouTube. Like this has no DVD release. This has never been mentioned by MLB as like a thing that they play at any point. Like nobody has done anything with this.
Yeah, because it's terrible. I mean,
Is
at a
that
certain
why?
point, I think at a certain point, being terrible is enough.
Yeah.
I'm curious because, like we've mentioned, Willie Mays is a known quantity still. This feels like a weird thing to be effectively lost media.
Yeah.
Right?
It's tough. It's either going to be on a home entertainment medium, DVD, VHS, something like that. But Rankin Bass, it has such a deep bench, and the only relevant stuff is the Christmas stuff. There really isn't anything else that registers with anyone.
Wikipedia, our friend over at the Rankin and Bass Wikipedia would like to have a moment with you about how he loves Smokey the Bear, brother.
I know. Well, I mean, except for freaks like us, they don't. It's
True.
no one's going to get promoted by saying, I got a great idea, folks. Let's put all of Rankin and Bass on this cable channel or on DVD. Let's do a box set. No one's going to buy that. The ones that they want, they already have. You can get them. You can get the box set of the Christmas stuff, and that's all you need. What else do you need?
True.
So this stuff gets lost because who wants to watch this crappy cell animation that's not very good? It's just it didn't earn its place in our attention.
I felt like I was high when I was trying to watch this the first time, especially those opening credits where he's running on the baseballs. And at the beginning, you see them, the family throwing the baseballs at him. And I was like, what the hell is this? Willie Mays people love Willie Mays. Why are these people throwing baseballs at him? And you find out at the end why that is.
It literally looked like this was a story about African Americans turning on Willie Mays.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes.
So I was saying it's all kind of just slightly problematic. And by slightly, I mean oddly problematic.
What is this special really going to be about? It was strange. And I'm gonna, in a very serious way. And I praised Romeo Mueller last episode and that praise stands. But this is a disappointing outing for the writer, because I got to tell you, the angel, the whole concept of I talk in circles, I talk in riddles, and I don't make sense because I am an otherworldly creature. That is a convention, but man, is it poorly executed here. It's not clever. It's not funny. It's not engaging. It's off-putting. It's frustrating. And I mentally checked out.
Not good. It is really not good.
Well, and what I don't get is, to everybody's point, like, why wasn't this just autobiographical? We've seen these Hans Christian Andersen stories 2 times now. It's like, I fail to see why an American sports icon, because that's what he is, clearly. There was a Max documentary about him last year that I watched for this. Why in God's name this was like not just his, because if this was his story, this would be remembered. Even if it wasn't great, there wouldn't have been any fantastical horse shit like they added here to really muddy the waters of something that just needed to be about Willie Mays. Well, it should have just been Willie Mays, comma, the Say Hey Kid, not Willie Mays and the Say Hey Kid. Because again, he is the Say Hey Kid. There is nobody else in this. If Veronica's the Say Hey Kid, how? Why? What does that? Right. They never even address what that fucking means in this, by the way.
I think the logic with a lot of these things was to create an expansion based on a popular name. In other words, the people who liked Willie Mays concurrently with his career knew his story. It was in all the papers. It was just something people probably knew. The Jackson 5, the Osmonds, those, when they were famous and cartoons were made about them, I don't think anyone felt that it was necessary to explain who they were or how they got where they were. They just were. And now we're just going to add to their legend by giving them a talking dog or a magic iguana and just build another room in the house of this existing entertainment entity. Now, 50 years on, we don't know Willie Mays. We weren't born knowing. So that's what we want from this. But at the time, it was like, everyone already knows all that shit. Give them a candy bar and a talking iguana, and now the kids are going to even love him more. And so we had to go dig this thing up, and here we are. Full-grown adults watching a child with a talking iguana named Sweetheart, and we have no one to blame but me.
Thank God you take the blame. What's funny is, though, like you mentioned it, Richard, like the idea that the childed it up, right? They made it for kids. Again, I come back to the idea of who is the Say Hey Kid? Who is the Say Hey Kid in them? Because it's Willie Mays and the Say Hey Kid. And it's like, again, like I want to know, like, if everybody at the time knew who Willie Mays was and who the Say Hey Kid was, because it is Willie Mays, then who is the Say Hey Kid of this story? Is it Veronica? And what is her Veronica story? But like, what does that mean? Like, I don't know what that means in the context of this story, because this story has effectively nothing to do with the title. It should have been called Willie Mays and some kid that showed up on his doorstep. Like,
right. Well, it's like, again, it's just sort of like, well, what if it turned out the Say Hey Kid was an actual kid? Again, we don't need to double down on Willie Mays. Let's actually start subdividing him. And which is weird. I mean, I'm not arguing for it. I'm kind of just trying to figure it out. But, what's the logic here? Well, kids don't like baseball, so we got to put a kid in it. Well, maybe some kids do like baseball, but girls don't. Okay, put a girl kid in there. I mean, I feel like I sat in the meetings for this.
Yeah.
What are the iguanas going to watch? Well, put an iguana in there.
The iguana really is egregious, especially because it doesn't even look like an iguana. And then it stands on 2 legs. Oh, man. Don't see iguanas like eating everything. It's not like a goat,
Yeah. That's not part of what an iguana does. Why are they maligning iguanas?
Yeah.
I think my favorite character is the Jackie Gleason taxi cab driver.
Oh, God.
How did I get here? What in the hell? Willie Mays? What is fucking going on?
Yeah.
It's such a bizarre mix of all the things that, like you said, Richard, like we expect from Rankin on Bass. Here on Rankin on Bass, it's what we expect from Rankin and Bass is insanity of a childlike degree. But here it's just like insanity to no specific point.
Mhm.
Flying taxi cabs, elevators that show up out of nowhere that go to places from a baseball diamond. Like, what is fucking happening here?
The little girl shows up at his house. He walks back into his house and says, "Who are you and why are you here?" And she's like, "Well, sit down. It's going to take about 6 minutes." Okay. And then starts telling a story about how her mother died giving birth practically. And then her father decided to just leave and go be a gold miner in South America.
Right.
And I'm like, well, this is an oddly specific and yet weirdly detailed story to explain all the shit in her life.
Right.
And then we go back to it. Then it's like, oh, guess what? Your father's been killed. Is that okay with you? And she's like, yeah, basically. I never knew him.
Right.
And he's like, oh, and you also weirdly inherited $20 million. How do you feel about that? Don't really care. I'm just happy to be here. And then, of course, her horrible relatives come out of the woodwork and try to claim her. So that's the threat now. And I get it, but boy, was that sweaty. A lot of stuff had to happen. And then there's another, then we don't know it's the angel doing it, but then it's like, oh no, there's been a revolution. And actually, there is no $20 million. In fact, you owe us money.
Right.
And it's like, oh God, okay, really? Wow, we're spending a lot of time watching revolutions in South America for a Willie Mays story.
That's what I was expecting when we watched this. I was like, Willie Mays, baseball, rife and strife in Central America, Manuel Noriega. That was the expectation. It was fully fulfilled.
It's
right.
what you do.
Yeah. And to your point, Richard, it's like, if you're going to go through all these hoops, at least make it like entertaining. Don't just say it and then just like, there's nothing like, it doesn't matter where any of this stuff that happens outside of the story with Willie Mays is or any of it, because they literally mention it 2 times and it's supposed to be so important both times. And it's like, I forgot because it's 45 minutes of just, I don't know, just treading water.
Yeah. A conflict comes up and it's like, oh no, I'm supposed to go bat in a moment. And yet I'm needed back at home because a lizard is going to fall off the roof. So then an angel who can do anything solves the problem. So we're like, well, I guess the angel's just going to put you there and then you're going to catch the lizard. He's going to bring you back in time to bat and there will be no repercussions, no ripples, no acknowledgement, and no consequences of any sort. And of course, that's exactly what happens. So it's like, well, then it really doesn't matter that there was a thing. He didn't have to do anything to solve it.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, you know what? Barney Rubble fell on hard times, okay? That's all I could see when I looked at the angel was Barney Rubble with really big ears.
Oh, boy.
Because he has that like blonde hair sticking out of his cap, and it's like the same hue that Barney Rubble's hair is. It's like that like yellowish hue. Yeah, I mean, we haven't mentioned it, but the designs of some of these characters is, to say uninspired might be generous. It's... Oh,
I'm trying to remember. It might have been the Mad Comedians where they had a lot of shots of the audience. I think that was the one. And there was one where we were looking at it and like, oh, Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis are in the audience.
Yeah,
if you look at these things, there were a couple shots of the baseball audience. There was one in particular where the camera's moving from left to right. And I was looking at these faces because they were almost too well drawn. And I was like, am I supposed to recognize these people? I didn't recognize anybody, but it felt like I was supposed to recognize some of these people in some of the crowd shots.
And yet, if you look at Willie Mays and the cartoon version of him, it looks nothing.
No.
And that's the crazy part, because those are like, I did the same thing in those audience shots. I was like, is that supposed to be like and no, like you said, there isn't any, but like compare that to the character we see the entire time. And he looks really bad in a really bad way too.
And I didn't know that because I don't have any memory or knowledge of what Willie Mays looks like in real life. But if they were not making an effort to make it look like him, then that's really offensive and insane. Because he's clearly a celebrity. People know what he looks like. So what are you saying? Well, we'll just make him an African-American and close enough, right?
Kind of what it feels like, which is not great.
Right.
Did you guys notice on the soundtrack there was like just a little laugh track going on?
Yeah, there was also that repeating song that we had over and over.
Dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, that'll be playing in my head 5 minutes after I die.
I actually think, to bring it back to what we were talking about with the design of the characters, Rankin and Bass, and I don't want to be that guy here, but I will mention it because I think we mentioned it 2 episodes ago. Rankin and Bass doesn't always have the best track record with diverse representation in their products. Remember the Emperor's New Clothes.
Right.
Remember, we've mentioned King and I already. Is it any surprise that in 72, this isn't the most well-tuned idea with Rankin and Bass? Probably not.
Well, it makes me even more curious about the Jackson 5, but at this point, Jackson
5 makes sense. It's like that makes sense because that's a kid's thing. Willie Mays is not for kids. Willie Mays is 1 year away from retiring. But this comes out the year before he retires. This is not Willie. Like I was saying, this is not Willie Mays of the San Francisco Giants. This is Willie Mays of the New York Mets. It's like when Brady went to go play for the Buccaneers. It's a different guy, different team, different feel. And it's like the relevancy that they were trying to keep here with Willie Mays is apparent, but wrong way to go about doing it. Real wrong way to go about doing it.
No, but you're correct. The Jackson 5 and Donny Osmond and the Osmonds were those were teeny boppers. Those weren't even like teenagers. That was music that definitely had a big listenership in the preteen, kids who were 10, kids who were 8. I knew who the Jackson 5 were when I was in kindergarten, and I recognized those songs, and I didn't recognize the Beatles, but I knew who the Jackson 5 were. So that made sense. Those celebrities being rendered as cartoons for little kids made perfect sense. And if their older brothers and sisters wanted to watch, even better.
Well, and I was wondering, because again, I went and looked at 72, right? The year that was 1972 in athletics in this country. And I was thinking to myself, okay, if we're going to do something with an athlete in 72, and let's just concede it has to be important. So let's not just do a white male athlete. Mm-hmm. I feel like the other option that they should have taken and could have taken, I think they could have done something where they did tell the story of the person and it be interesting, would have been Billie Jean King.
Wow. Yeah.
Right. And that.
Listen,
to me,
you woke feminazi.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Or you could do Mark Spitz. Also 72, but to me, it's like Billie Jean King would have made perfect sense for some of this, and to highlight a sport that maybe isn't as popular. Because again, baseball's just as fucking popular as everything else. Maybe it's not as popular as everything else, but plenty of people still watch baseball. Plenty of people love baseball. Plenty of people get animated about baseball teams and all kinds of stuff. But tennis, not necessarily. And Billie Jean King, one of the great tennis athletes.
Well, you brought up a point earlier, and I'm thinking of it right now. Okay, so there was a point in the late 70s where Reggie Jackson was so famous as a baseball player, and I'm not a fan, but he was so famous he had a candy bar.
Yeah.
Now, who's the most famous baseball player right now?
Right now?
Right now, who's a baseball celebrity?
Roberto Clemente died in 72.
I know. I'm just kidding.
Right now, Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, those they play for a team that's near you, dude. He plays for the Angels. Shohei Ohtani is a pitcher and a batter. He's a dual position player. Mike Trout is a really good hitter. Also Bryce Harper. They're all
how long have these people been big?
10 years.
Are they going on Jimmy Kimmel?
That I don't know. And that's why I was wondering that same thing. It doesn't baseball athletes don't go on those shows. It seems like it's football players and basketball players. It's not even hockey players either.
Right.
Well, it's right now we're going through this period where other sports have more, basketball clearly has celebrities. And has for a long time, though. Dennis Rodman, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Now we're going back decades, 50 years. But it is weird. There have been other eras when baseball has had stars that transcended the sport. So people who didn't watch baseball or care about it knew who Reggie Jackson was. Okay, we know who Steve Garvey or something. It's
Ken
like
Griffey
all right, I've
Jr..
heard the name, and they go on interview shows and they're a celebrity. And now I don't know who those people are for baseball.
And you might actually, there's a thing you might chalk it up to. I don't know how tuned in you guys were in the late 90s, but Mark McGwire and the Sammy Sosa race for the home run. But then it turned out they were both just like fucking using roids the whole time. Like,
Right.
I think that really hurt this kind of stuff where it's like the visibility of those athletes kind of became lesser. And then, I mean, we had Jordan in the 90s, which made basketball like the fucking sport of sports. I was thinking to myself, like, where was Rankin and Bass's Michael Jordan animated thing in the 90s? Like that, again, like if this had worked, that would have been a thing that they would have done. Like that's the crazy thing here to me. It's like, this is a real big missed opportunity for Rankin and Bass.
I mean, the way that this is animated, the way that the story is laid out, it almost feels like this was, what was it, TV Funhouse on SNL?
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like this was a rejected TV Funhouse thing where it's like, we're going to take this athlete and pair him up with an orphan and an iguana and all those things that you laid out before, Richard, all the focus meetings. It's like, here's all the stuff that we need. I mean, it's, when you look at it from afar, it's absolutely ridiculous, and when you look at it up close, it's just kind of sad.
And I've got to wonder if the people who made the Mike Tyson Mysteries animated show saw this and were like, this is some dumb shit. Let's just make something that's intentionally ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Like Mike Tyson sort of became like Dennis Rodman, but in a weird way, he sort of became a person who could make fun of his image.
The Hangover, that's where it started. Right?
He had an image to make fun of, and so he was in The Hangover, and then they did the cartoon, and that made him cool. This, I keep looking at it like, well, as creative people, if we're looking at Rankin and Bass as artists, what was motivating them at various points in their career? And it's hard to find the moments that feel like it was just them going, we're the biggest guys in the business. What's our passion project? What's in our hearts? What do we want to put out in the world? It feels like at a certain point they did those live action movies like the Bermuda Depths and that kind of thing. And that feels like they wanted to do it because one of them lived in Bermuda.
Yeah.
And they could do it and stay at home, and it was a tax write-off or something.
Do it for Arthur, baby. You remember that nonsense? Do it for Arthur.
Like I don't know. There was so much artistry in the Animagic projects that it really did feel like something new, and that they had a voice and something they wanted to say and do. But so much of their product, absent of any biographical information, because I don't have it, and the book is a celebration of their art, and it's an encyclopedia. It's not really talking about their lives. I don't know what they cared about. And beyond Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I don't know what they hung their hats on. Right. And I certainly don't know where they used their clout in any other way than to just get more money fast. And if I'm wrong, I would love to know that information, because I'm fascinated. I can't figure it out. From the outside, as cynical as I can be, I cannot figure it out in any other way.
Well, and you bring up an interesting point. I mean, if you go and look at the ABC Saturday Superstar special movies or whatever the hell this was part of, all of those other things are made by Paramount and Hanna-Barbera and Filmation and, you know, other houses that either have these properties that they're licensing to people to turn into cartoons, or they're turning into cartoons themselves. And Rankin and Bass should not be the weakest seeming link, because no, I haven't seen all of them, but they don't sound as bizarre of an idea as the Rankin and Bass one. Because again, Mad Monsters, we know the quality of that. The Red Baron, really know the quality of that. That's like the thing that was one of the weirdest Rankin and Bass things I think I've watched. And then this, it's just like, and now we know what the quality of this is. And it's like, wow, if you're watching this as a kid and you're seeing all these have to stand out as just like, wow, not good.
Yeah. It's like they never stepped forward. Like, I don't think this got made. I think it's pretty obvious with them stepping forward and going, okay, we're a force to be reckoned with. We want to use our megaphone into American culture to talk about an African-American hero, Willie Mays. And we're going to use our artistic skills to elevate his story and to bring it to kids who may not know it, because this guy's almost retired, and we want to tell that story. And so that's where we're going to use our artistic entertainment industry clout. I get a feeling someone came to them and said, how about this? And they were like, okay. And then someone came to them and said, how about Danny Thomas? How about Marlo Thomas? How about Danny Kaye? And they're like, yeah, fine, whatever, sure. Okay, Danny Kaye, what do we do? Okay, you want this? Yeah, well, put him in that. We did it back then. We can redo it this time. No one cares. What was there? I don't think they were sitting around going, how are we going to win an Emmy?
Right.
How are we going to win a Peabody or a Humanitas?
I have to tell you, though, that these other specials that ran on this series, they look amazing to me. And I would so love to see some of these.
What were they?
So there was Oliver Twist, which was a two-parter. So it was probably like a real thing.
Well, who produced it?
Hanna-Barbera.
You're talking non-Rankin and Bass, obviously.
Hanna-Barbera, yeah.
I don't know what the Adventures of Robin Hoodnick are, but just that title. But for me, Gidget makes the wrong connection. Gidget runs afoul of seagoing gold smugglers. The banana splits in Hocus Pocus Park. The banana splits must rescue a young girl from a witch at an amusement park. They had one called Tabitha and Adam and the Clown Family. And you know who Tabitha and Adam are. Their mother is Samantha Stevens and their father is Darren Stevens. So I don't know, again, if this is live action or animated, but either way, I'm in. Lovecast USA is a mini anthology loosely based on Love American Style. So
what is going on? What is it? It's just like, well, I don't know. This thing already exists. Let's just do an animated version for kids and it'll suck, but maybe the kids will watch.
Yeah. Popeye meets the man who hated laughter. Yes, please. Or the Brady Kids on Mysterious Island. That was the very first episode.
The Brady Kids, again, at least that makes sense. I mean, even just from a marketing standpoint, it's like children watch the Brady Bunch. They will watch the animated Brady Bunch.
I mean, when we were watching this had the opening of the Saturday Superstar movies opening, and everything else looked really interesting. Other than when I saw the Red Baron and I had PTSD,
right?
And then,
right.
But they showed Lassie, and I was like, Lassie makes perfect sense for kids. Like an animated Lassie cartoon, fucking A. Like, and that was the thing. I mean, Lassie's Rescue Rangers ends up being the show that comes after that. So like this was also an opportunity to jump off and make this into something else, which is, who knows if they were like, well, we're going to get this Willie Mays cartoon up and running, folks. Like, no.
It's not like animation was a ghetto where no one had ever made art. Disney had been making art with animation for decades. True. They were spending a lot more money and taking a lot more time, but still, even the Charlie Brown specials were considered like those were considered really good, and things that even adults were like, yeah, this is good. The Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny, things like that. Adults would watch those and go, this is funny. I don't want to poke my eyes out.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like it wasn't done. It's not like it couldn't be done. It's just that for whatever reason, they weren't doing it. So what's next week?
But Daffy Duck and Porky Pig meet the Groovy Ghoulies does sound pretty good, to be fair.
Okay.
I want to see what else is available out there. The Gidget one is really getting me. So, but we will be back. Yeah. But next month, we are going to be talking about That Girl in Wonderland. So another Rankin and Bass, one of these Saturday night movies. So, and we get to talk all about Marlo Thomas. So I know you're going to be excited about that one, Richard.
Oh, just like Jamie Farr, she makes my Lebanese heart beat a little faster.
So until then, Chris, what are you working on these days?
Working on a lot of stuff. You can find all of it over at weirdingwaymedia.com, including but not limited to Bollywood Cinema Club, The Culture Cast, Kolchak Tapes, Midnight Viewing, all those things I work on and or host. You can find them all at weirdingwaymedia.com.
And Richard, you tell me all about all the scripts that you're currently working on these days. Can you expand on that a little bit more for our GA members here?
I'm working on all kinds of stuff. Not for the studios. I am on strike with the Writers Guild and now with the Screen Actors Guild. And thank God we now have a lot more people and a lot more good looking people. Now, by the way, let me just say this. Being on the picket line, I have learned writers are more attractive than they pretend to be. Okay, we all walk around going, oh, we're trolls. there's plenty of hot writers out there. But the actors come out, they're professionally good looking. You know, when you hand them a Strike t-shirt, they take off the shirt they're wearing and then put on the Strike t-shirt. They don't just pull it on over the existing t-shirt the way we do because we're ashamed of our alabaster bellies being exposed to the sun. They whip off their shirts. It looks like an ad for Gatorade, and we're in a whole nother world. Anyway, having said all that, I'm out on the picket lines, and we're going to change Hollywood or die trying. And at this point, they're killing us anyway. We might as well die trying.
I feel like Weirding Way Media could really make a buck or two by selling t-shirts that say, "Thank God for Fran Drescher," and then donating all the proceeds to the Writers Guild of America pool of funds, because thank God for Fran Drescher, folks.
Yeah, she went through a big transition in a course of about 6 weeks. She went from being someone that people were like, does she know what's going on? To then being an extremely passionate and articulate advocate for a living wage for the vast majority of writers and actors, the non-famous ones.
What about the famous ones, Mike? Tell us about the famous ones. What are you doing over where famous people talk to you?
Oh, well, yeah, we're putting out new shows every week and getting some famous people to talk to us. I mean, there's still directors, you know, the writers won't talk. No, I'm just kidding. The writers are fine. The writers are great people, and so are the actors. And yeah, I'm in support of you guys. If there's something that I can offer apart from my thoughts and prayers, you just let me know, Richard.
Well, I was going to say, you know, there was some confusion about whether actors or writers could go on to podcasts, but as long as you're not promoting current product, yeah, like an actor can't go on. What would be the example? I'm trying to think. Like Margot Robbie could go on and talk about some show she did 15 years ago. I guess it'd be a little weird because she is Barbie. So, but of course, most actors can go on and talk about stuff they've done in the past. They just can't be out pimping Oppenheimer.
Exactly. Yes. Sal Viscuso of the Barney Miller Show and MASH and quite a few other things. I'm going to be talking with him in a few weeks, and he assured me that it was okay that he talks with me. So
yes,
I'm glad
it is
for that. Yes.
He can promote Barney Miller all he wants.
Yes. We're going to be talking about the taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, though. So I'm very excited about that.
Where is he located?
I think he's out near you. He's in the 323, I believe.
Oh my God. All right. Maybe I'll see him out on the picket line.
Yeah. He's currently in rehearsals for a theater project. So, which I think is okay. Because I know today they were talking about Broadway actors.
Yeah. That's equity. That's stage actors. So they can, actor Broadway is okay for now.
So you can go sing a song on Broadway all you want, Richard. It'd be your dream come true.
Okay. Thank you.
Adapt the Mothman prophecies for stage.
There you go.
Fucking do it. I dare you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't dare me.
Don't dare me.
I would love to read your script for Under Siege 2, the original version. I'd love to read that one of these days.
Yeah. I'd love to find it. I probably have it somewhere. Anyway, yeah. Yep. One day.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. I want to thank Abby Stabby for our artwork, as well as the Great Octopus for our theme music. Be sure to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform. Hopefully you already have. We will be back next month with a look at Rankin and Bass's 1973 animated special, That Girl in Wonderland. Until then, be sure to rate and review the podcast wherever you get it. Tell your friends, tell your family, and please stay weird.
Hello, my name is Kevin Tudor, and I'm one of the 3 hosts of Almost Major, a film podcast dissecting many major indie studios and the films they release. Every week, myself, Charlie Nash, and Bryden Doyle discuss overlooked forgotten, or bona fide classic indie films via studio-specific miniseries. We've previously covered numerous films from Artisan Entertainment, Lionsgate Films, and New Line Cinema. Titles including The Blair Witch Project, American Psycho, Dogville, But I'm a Cheerleader, Saw, Requiem for a Dream, and Ringmaster. You know, the Jerry Springer film. Anyways, we have a fun time every week, and we hope you will join us. Subscribe to Almost Major wherever you get your podcasts. Now proudly a part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and I, we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Deaf Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of Someone's Favorite Production podcast network. We hope to see you online.